1 billion yen. That's not the final box office for a successful movie. That's not even its first day total. That is the amount of money the new Demon Slayer film, Infinity Castle, earned in Japan in its first 16 hours of release, before the primetime showings even began. Let that sink in. A financial tidal wave of this magnitude is almost unheard of, and it proves one thing with terrifying clarity. This isn't just another successful anime movie. This is an event. An earthquake that is actively shaking the foundations of the entire anime industry, and it may be redefining how our favorite stories are told forever. So, what is actually happening here? How has Demon Slayer seemingly broken the system? And is this new path a golden age for anime, or a dangerous gamble that could backfire spectacularly? Today, we're diving deep into the phenomenon that is the Infinity Castle movie. We'll uncover how this film is mirroring the success of Hollywood's biggest blockbusters like Avengers Endgame. We'll explore how it's tearing up the old rulebook for anime adaptations, forcing other major franchises to follow its lead. And most importantly, we will confront the critical question: is Demon Slayer's monumental success a one-time miracle, or has it unlocked a new, permanent future for anime on the big screen? Stick around, because the answer will change the way you look at your favorite series. To truly grasp the scale of what's happening in Japan right now, you have to picture something unprecedented. We're hearing reports that movie theaters aren't just giving Infinity Castle a few screens. Some are dedicating every single screen in the entire multiplex to showing this one film, non-stop, all day long. The sheer demand has created a scenario that you typically only see with the most colossal cultural touchstones. We're talking about the kind of release strategy reserved for a film like Avengers Endgame, a movie that represented the culmination of over a decade of storytelling. And in many ways, that comparison is incredibly fitting. Infinity Castle isn't just another arc. For millions of fans, it represents the beginning of the end for a story that has captivated the entire world. It's the anime world's very own endgame, and its box office numbers are quickly proving it has the same kind of gravitational pull. This goes beyond mere ticket sales. It's a full-blown cultural takeover. The release feels less like a movie premiere and more like a national holiday. Social media is an endless stream of excitement, fan art, and ticket stubs. Convenience stores are stocked with character-themed merchandise. You can't escape it. This level of societal penetration is what separates a simple hit from a true phenomenon. It's a testament to how deeply Tanjiro and Nezuko's journey has resonated with a massive, mainstream audience, creating a shared cultural experience that everyone wants to be a part of. Early reports from Japanese audiences only amplify this, painting a picture of an absolute masterpiece. Fans are talking about a roller coaster of emotions, a visually stunning spectacle that delivers on years of anticipation. The film reportedly adapts the manga faithfully, ending at a critical juncture that will leave audiences breathless, though we'll be keeping this discussion completely spoiler-free. The raw excitement, the communal experience, the feeling that you are witnessing the climax of a generation-defining saga, it all mirrors that lightning-in-a-bottle energy that made the Marvel Cinematic Universe a global titan. But what Demon Slayer is doing is arguably even more revolutionary, because it's happening in an industry that, for decades, has played by a completely different set of rules. This success is not just big, it's disruptive. It's forcing a fundamental change in how anime itself is created and delivered. For the longest time, the idea of a canonical anime movie, one that is essential to the main plot, was considered box office poison. Studio executives were terrified of the concept. Their logic was simple: what if the movie flops? If you make a film a mandatory part of the story and not enough people go to see it, you've just fractured your audience. The fans who only watch the weekly television series would be completely lost, confused about what they missed, and might just abandon the show altogether. It was a massive financial and creative risk that very few were willing to take. To avoid this, nearly all major anime movies were explicitly non-canonical. Think of the dozens of old Dragon Ball Z or Bleach movies. They were fun, action-packed side adventures, existing in their own little bubble, completely disconnected from the main storyline. They were safe. You could watch them or skip them, and it made no difference to your understanding of the core plot. They were bonus content, not required reading. These non-canonical films followed a very predictable and safe formula. They would typically introduce a powerful new villain who had no prior mention in the series and would be conveniently defeated by the end of the movie, never to be mentioned again. The heroes might gain a temporary power-up for a flashy finale, but by the time the credits rolled, the status quo was perfectly restored, ensuring the movie wouldn't contradict a single frame of the ongoing television series. They were, in essence, feature-length episodes of filler. Entertaining, yes, but ultimately disposable. They were appetizers, designed to keep fans engaged between main courses, never intended to be the main course itself. But then, the tide began to turn. Slowly at first. We saw films like Dragon Ball Super Broly and later Super Hero, which were canonical continuations of the Dragon Ball Super series. They were post-series films, acting as big-screen epilogues or new chapters after the television show had wrapped up. They were hugely successful and proved that there was a massive appetite for canonical theatrical content. But even they were playing it relatively safe, continuing a story that had already concluded its run on TV. Then came Demon Slayer Mugen Train, and it changed everything. Mugen Train was unique. It was audacious. It wasn't a side story, and it wasn't an epilogue. It was a crucial, deeply emotional, and plot-heavy arc dropped right in the middle of the series. Ufotable, the studio behind the anime, made a bold declaration. If you want to know what happens after Season 1, you have to go to the theater. It was the ultimate gamble, and it paid off on a scale that no one could have possibly predicted. It came out at a perfect time, with little box office competition, and went on to shatter every record imaginable, becoming the highest-grossing Japanese film of all time. We cannot overstate how important that timing was. Mugen Train released during the height of the global pandemic, a time when Hollywood had ground to a halt and movie theaters were starved for new content. It filled a massive vacuum, becoming the sole blockbuster event in a barren landscape. The success of Mugen Train wasn't just a win for Demon Slayer, it was a proof of concept that sent shockwaves through the entire industry. It proved that audiences wouldn't just tolerate a canonical mid-series movie, they would flock to it in historic numbers. If you were as blown away by the spectacle and success of Mugen Train as we were, do us a favor and hit that like button. It truly felt like a turning point for anime, and Infinity Castle is proving that was just the beginning. Now, the ripple effect of that success is becoming impossible to ignore. Other major players in the anime world are watching, and they're taking notes. Look no further than the upcoming Chainsaw Man movie, which will adapt the beloved Rize arc. Just like Mugen Train, it's a direct continuation of the first season, moving a critical part of the story from television to the big screen. This is the Demon Slayer effect in action. But this is where things get truly interesting, because it raises a fascinating question. Is this a universally applicable formula? Demon Slayer has a broad four-quadrant appeal. Despite its violence and dark subject matter, its core story is about family, hope, perseverance, and classic heroism, which resonates with a very wide audience. Chainsaw Man, on the other hand, is a different beast entirely. It is nihilistic, graphically violent, sexually charged, and deeply cynical. Its hero is motivated by the most basic of desires, and its tone is intentionally chaotic and subversive. Can a series like this, which is considerably darker and more niche, expect to achieve the same kind of mainstream box office triumph? Or is this high-risk, high-reward movie strategy something that can only be successfully wielded by the absolute titans of the industry, the one-in-a-generation hits like Demon Slayer? The success or failure of the Res Arc movie will be a major test case for this emerging new model. This brings us to the most crucial element of all, the international market. As astonishing as $1 billion yen in 16 hours is, the Japanese box office is only one piece of the puzzle. A huge portion of Mugen Train's record-setting global gross came from the United States and other international markets. Fans across the world will have to wait until around September to see Infinity Castle, and its total box office domination won't be clear until at least October. But its international release conditions are vastly different from its predecessors. Mugen Train benefited from that unique pandemic-induced vacuum, releasing when Hollywood blockbusters were scarce and giving it a wide-open field to dominate. Infinity Castle won't have that same luxury. It will face a more competitive landscape, going up against a full slate of Hollywood films, each with marketing budgets that could dwarf the entire production cost of an anime movie. An anime film has to fight for every screen, for every showtime, and for every dollar of marketing spend in a market not built for it. This situation forces us to confront the single most important question hanging over this entire phenomenon. Was Mugen Train's success a fluke? Was it a perfect storm of a beloved series releasing in a competition-free market, a lightning-in-a-bottle event that can never be replicated? Or was it the first true sign of a permanent, fundamental shift in global anime viewership, proving that audiences worldwide are now ready and eager to embrace serialized anime movies as major cinematic events on par with anything Hollywood produces? The international performance of Infinity Castle will be the final verdict. If it manages to surpass Mugen Train's global numbers despite the increased competition, it will prove once and for all that the game has changed for good. The era of anime as a niche interest will be officially over. So, what does this new potential future mean for us, the fans? On the surface, it sounds incredible. The Demon Slayer model proposes taking the most epic, action-packed, and climactic arcs of a manga and adapting them as big-budget theatrical films. This bigger budget doesn't just mean more fluid animation, it means more time. More time for meticulous storyboarding, for composing an unforgettable orchestral score, for world-class sound design that makes every sword clash reverberate through the theater. It allows studios like Ufotable to pour resources into research and development, perfecting new digital animation techniques that blend seamlessly with hand-drawn art. It means creating a truly cinematic experience that lives up to the grand finales that these beloved series deserve. Imagine the final arcs of your favorite series all getting the Infinity Castle treatment. Unparalleled animation, cinematic sound design, and the shared experience of watching it all unfold on the big screen. It's a tantalizing prospect. However, this glorious future comes with a significant trade-off, a devil's bargain of sorts: longer production times. Making a feature film, let alone a trilogy of them like the Infinity Castle arc, takes a very, very long time. This means fans could be forced to wait years between the end of a television season and its theatrical continuation. For a cultural juggernaut like Demon Slayer, the hype can easily be sustained over that period. But what about other, less popular series? Could they survive such a long hiatus without losing their audience? Modern fan culture thrives on constant engagement. Weekly episode discussions, theory crafting, memes, and a continuous stream of content. A 2 or 3 year gap can feel like an eternity, and momentum is a fragile thing. The risk is that the excitement and momentum built by the weekly series could completely fizzle out while fans wait for the movie to finally arrive. It's a risky proposition that could doom any show that isn't already a guaranteed blockbuster. This is the new dilemma facing the industry. Do you want the steady, consistent storytelling of a weekly anime series? Or are you willing to endure a long, uncertain wait for a spectacular, high-budget cinematic event? It's a fascinating debate, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. Let us know in the comments which model you prefer. And if you're enjoying this deep dive, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our future analyses on the biggest trends in anime. In the end, the release of Demon Slayer Infinity Castle is so much more than just a premiere. It's a high-stakes test case being watched intently by every animation studio and production committee in Japan. Its success is not just being celebrated by fans, it's being analyzed in boardrooms. If it breaks records once again, it could solidify a whole new approach to anime adaptations, blending traditional television seasons with serialized movie events. Certain arcs, the ones better suited for week-to-week character development, could remain on TV, while the grand, explosive conclusions are saved for the cinema. Demon Slayer has managed to navigate this perilous path, keeping its hype at a fever pitch despite the wait. And if the early reactions from Japan are any indication, the payoff for that wait is going to be absolutely monumental. The world should prepare itself, because Demon Slayer is not just telling a story. It's actively reshaping the entire medium right before our very